Hello there, Letitia Bates here, certified life coach of At the Wheel Coaching, and welcome to our Sunday Love Month series. All of the Sundays in February celebrating Love Month. So we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. I'm waiting to see who is going to be hopping on before I jump in and share what I want to share with you today, because it's a really important topic when we're talking about healing your broken. There's so many things that happen to us along the way of life, and sometimes we just encounter things that just seem to break us in two. So I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about what healing looks like and steps to help get you there. Welcome, Jan. Hello. Thanks for coming. We're going to get started here in just a moment. It's just 2 o'clock. Welcome, Deborah. Good to see you here. Welcome to the Love Month series, talking about healing your broken heart. Plan to have a good time today, because I like to think of myself as a how girl, meaning people say things like let it go or move on, and I want to know how. How do you actually do it? So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Actually heal a broken heart. In 2014, I came home from a wonderful vacation, but I was exhausted. When I got home, I had this huge suitcase. I was gone for like 9 days, and I left the suitcase just outside of the bedroom door. I walked down the hall, and I thought to myself, in the morning, I need to move that suitcase so that I don't hurt myself. And I thought, all right, I'll get to it. So the next day, I came home from work. I was exhausted. And I thought to myself, I need to move that suitcase so I don't hurt myself. Then I went to bed. The next morning when I got up, I was rushing, and I came down the hall, and bam, my foot slammed into the suitcase. Yikes! I was in so much pain, like blood curdling pain. So I got myself to the doctor, and sure enough, I had actually broken my toe. Now, he said the only thing that we could do is wrap it together. I don't know if you've ever had a broken bone. I had never had a broken bone in my body. Has anybody ever had a broken bone in your body? If you have, just let me know. Just say yes in the chat, because I'd never had that experience before. So we wrap the toe at a buddy toe, and he gives me like a crutch and helps me walk around. And for the first couple of days, I got my crutch, and I'm walking around, and people are seeing that I've got the crutch, and they're helping me out. They're opening the doors for me. And then the pain kind of calmed, so I didn't need the crutch anymore. But I was still walking really slow everywhere I went. So when people didn't see the crutch, they didn't understand why I was walking so slow. But I was still healing. And that's what I find happens when our hearts are broken. Hang up. Oh, sorry, Jan, that you couldn't get on. Hope you can join us on the replay. I'll make sure I get it to you. So when our hearts are broken, in the beginning, when that first event happens, and people see that we have lost somebody, people see that our boyfriend wasn't there anymore, they left us, they can see that initial hurt. But as time goes on and we still continue to hurt, no one can see that, right? And this is what happens when our hearts get broken. In the beginning, it's a big deal. People swarm around, they help, but the hurt continues on. And what we'll tend to do over the course of time is accumulate different hurt, which is not helpful. So what we're going to talk about today is 5 steps to heal the broken heart. And the very first thing that you want to do is define the hurt, right? So with my broken toe, I had to know what was going on and define that hurt. So define it. What specifically is breaking your heart? Is it grief? Is it sadness? Is it confusion? Is it betrayal? What is it actually? Now, you might say, Letitia, I've had so many things break my heart. If I started writing those things down, I'd never stop. But it's really important because there are usually some really big ones that really stick out to us, especially things like betrayal, or if we've had abuse in our background, or if we feel like we've been misused or mistreated. And there are oftentimes people associated with them. Now, in my case, it was all me, right? I didn't move the suitcase, so there was kind of nobody else involved. But in your heartbreak experience, when you define it, actually write that down. My heart is broken because he cheated on me. She said hurtful things to me. Once you define that heartbreak, then you want to list out what the emotions are that you are feeling as a result of that. Emotions are important. People might say, oh, she's in her feelings or he's in her feelings, and they tell you that your feelings don't matter, but that's not really true. Your feelings do matter. Your heart matters. Your healing matters. Even when no one can see that you're hurting, you want to make sure that you're prioritizing your healing, just like I had to do for my foot, right? So you define it. Once you define it, you know what those emotions are. You know what the actual heartbreak is. If it's more than one thing, that's fine. You can list that out. You do that. And then the next thing you have to do is declutter it. Now, what does this mean? So let's say, for example, somebody does something to you, and then you start saying, well, somebody betrays you, right? Your friend talks about you behind your back. And then you start adding to it by saying, people back. This person did it, and this person did it, and this person did it. When you do that, you kind of, and you're not getting to the root of what is really hurting you, because so much more is going on. So if you declutter it and think, okay, this particular offense took place, I felt this way about it, one thing at a time, and get more clarity on what the actual heartbreak is. So you've defined it, you've decluttered it. The next thing you got to do is decide, yeah, here's where it gets a little tricky. Hey, Scott, good to see you here. Welcome. So you have to make a decision of whether or not you want to let the hurt go. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but there's an element, especially when you're dealing with a heartbreak that's attached to something else, there's this element of justice, right? Like if you let this go, somehow you're letting this person off the hook. And that can be really, really tough. But you have to make a decision that you don't want to live with a broken heart. And once that decision has been made, whether that person comes to you and apologizes to you or not, that is no longer the measure of whether or not you're going to move on and allow your heart to heal. So you have defined that heartbreak, you have decluttered that heartbreak, and you have decided that you no longer want to live with the heartbreak. Step number 4, you got to solve it, right? And there are many, many, many tools. I am a tapping practitioner, so tapping is a powerful tool that I use to help dissolve, those kinds of heartbreaks, those hard things. But there are other ways. There are breathing exercises, there are writing exercises, there are things that you can do to dissolve that heartbreak. And when I say that, what I mean is release the emotional charge. In your definition, you've got that statement of how you felt. You have listed out the emotions. And now what you want to do is move through those emotional states. If it's pain or if it's sadness or whatever that is, you're looking to release the emotional charge and dissolve that of the emotional charge. All right? Then the next step, you got to design. So this experience happened, it broke your heart. You're in that part where you're healing. What do you want the next phase of your life to look like? What's next? Now, this might be challenging if you've been dealing with heartbreak for a long time and you spend a lot of time sort of rehearsing how hurt you were or how damaged you were. it's really important to begin to look forward and think about what the next phase is going to be like. So you have to design it. If it was a bad relationship and you've gone through this process, you've defined it, you've decluttered it, you've decided to let the heartbreak go, you've dissolved it. Now, what do you want? Okay, you want a person maybe in your life who's honest with you. That's a really good trait. You can start writing a list down of what you actually want. If a friend has betrayed you, you want people who can keep their word. Write that down and begin to make a list of the things that you do want so that you know what you're looking for and you're not investing all of your time looking back at the pain that you had. One of the ways to do this is through meditation, where you're just quieting your mind and you're just thinking forward. There's some breathing exercises involved with that. And I have created a guided meditation that I want to offer to you. It is called the Harmonized Heart. Take a moment here. It's a free meditation. And I'm going to put this in the chat if I can get it in there. Bear with me. But you can go to harmonizedheart.com. And if you go to harmonizedheart.com, hey, Al, good to see you. So if you want to go to harmonizedheart.com, it's a guided meditation, and it'll help you do what we've talked about. So for those of you who are just joining, I want to recap the steps of healing the broken heart. The first is you have to define it. The actual offense. Write that sentence out. What broke your heart? Or who broke your heart? Then you want to list out the emotions that you're feeling around that particular offense. That's step one. Step two is declutter it. Don't look at that list and think about all the times this person has done this or all the times this thing has happened, because you'll clutter it up. You want to deal with one offense at a time. The third thing is to decide. You want to make the decision to let the heartbreak go. Again, this gets a little tricky because there's an element of justice there, right? We want people to apologize. We want people to accept responsibility for things that they've done to hurt us. But they don't always do that. And if we're waiting on their decision to say, I'm sorry, sometimes we may wait a lifetime, or sometimes they may be passed away and that opportunity isn't there. But you can make a decision that you want your heart to heal and let that go. And then you go to step 4, which is dissolve it. Find a way to dissolve those emotions. And what I mean by that is releasing the emotional charge of that anger or frustration or hurt or pain or whatever that is. I'm a tapping practitioner, so I'm a big fan of tapping to release emotional charge. But there are many other tools. There's prayer, there's meditation, there's writing out how you feel, somewhere where you're shifting out of the sadness or upset, bitterness, and depression. And then the 5th step in healing a broken heart is design. Actually get focused on what you want, right? What do you want your experience to be like? What do you want your relationship to look like? What kinds of people do you want in your life? Those things so that you can start moving forward toward that. So in the Harmonized Heart meditation, it's a 4-part meditation. It's a free meditation. You can go to harmonizedheart.com. There's a link there in the chat. It actually helps you with that process to activate that healing. So I invite you to go check it out. Once you get a sense of it, you've used it for a couple of days, give me a shout and let me know how it's working for you. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. It's a love month, so I will be back next Sunday, and I will be talking about emotional love and taking care of yourself. And we'll go a little bit deeper into what that looks like at the personal level. In the meantime, if you've got questions during the week, or if you're catching the replay and you've got a question, go ahead and let me know. Just put that question in there and I'll make sure I get back. Happy Sunday, you guys. Have a fantastic day. Thank you guys for coming. Bye.